Welcome back, my friends, to another Patriotic pickup episode. Today, though, instead of this truck, we're going to talk about that truck. I bought it last week off of Facebook Marketplace. The main reason why I bought it is because it does have a manual transmission, but I'll get to that later. It has a 2.8 V6 liter, 2.8 liter V6 engine in it, but unfortunately, I believe it is seized. After I bought it, I hooked my jumper cables up to it and charged up the battery a little bit, just enough to turn the key, see if it would turn over, and the starter just makes a thunk against the flywheel. And I'll show that to you here in just a moment. But if I can get the engine running, good. If not, then I can tear it down and rebuild it and then swap it into my truck, because it does have a little bit more horsepower, and being a V6, it'll have more torque than my inline 4 that I have. It's got two different style rims on it. The front ones and the rear right are all the same. This one's the odd one out. It has 3 different tire sizes on it. The 2 in the front are the ones that are supposed to be, the stock size. This one's a little bit taller, and the one on the other side is a little bit taller and a lot wider. Came with a few odds and ends in the bed of the truck. It's a short bed. Mine's a long bed. This one's a short bed. I got some speakers, floor mats. I do like the rear window. I do want to swap that over to mine, because mine's just the solid instead of the window opening. But mainly, now I have a bunch of spare parts for mine. I know the rotors on mine are not in the best shape. I don't know how these are. I'll get to that eventually. Maybe I can swap them over. The rims, I'm probably just going to sell, since they're all different. Let's see. Gas cap is there, but it's missing the actual plastic piece. Came with some pizza boxes. Door does not stay open. Let's see here. Came with a CD. Hi, Spider. Came with a CD drive radio and then a Bluetooth one. The glove box works. The latch on it, and it has the little stud that's not broken off down here, so I'll put that one in mine, and I'll probably cover the gray here. I'll probably use some more of that fabric with the stars on it, cover it with that. Go away. Anyway, key does not come out of the ignition, but that's okay. I don't know if the lights work. Haven't gotten that far. It did come with almost a full tank of gas. Oh, and fuel pump works. I don't know if you heard that. Well, that's not gonna do it, but the fuel pump works. You can hear it. You can hear it pumping. But the previous owner said that it's been sitting for about a year. So the gas in it may still be good. I haven't gotten that far. If it's already kind of colored yellow or whatever, I can use it in my lawnmowers. But hey, that's with gas prices what they are today, that's about $50 worth of gas right there. I think this thing has a 20-gallon tank. Anyway, transmission. The only issue with the transmission I've noticed is when you get to fourth. think that's a mosquito. Anyway, first goes into place. Second clicks. Third clicks. Getting out of third is a little iffy. There we go. Fourth doesn't, like, second comes all the way down here. Fourth is, well, there it goes. Okay, so fourth went into place there, and then fifth, come on, and reverse. So fourth, if you're going first, second, third, fourth, there we go. Okay. I'm hoping that once it starts rolling, it'll actually get a little bit more loose. I'll replace the oil in it and whatnot. But yeah, I don't have that much experience with manual transmissions, but I talked with a few friends of mine who do have experience with them, and I asked them for advice when I went to actually look at this truck to see, how I can check and see how it is. Clutch pedal is, at least it works. Oh, there you go. Anyway, all right, so to try to start it, clutch in. Did you hear the fuel pump just then? Anyway, and could you hear that clunking? I let go of the door. All right, hold on. See if you can hear this. Anyway, so yeah, I'm pretty sure that the engine is seized. I also tried turning it by hand, and I couldn't. I used both hands, and I can't right now because I'm holding you with the other one. But I tried turning it, and I couldn't get it to turn. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take the plugs out, use a bore scope to look in them and see how each piston looks, and then I'm going to try to put some oil down in each piston, each cylinder, and see if that can help free it up. I'm not sure where it's seized. Probably some flying bug just scared me. If you want to make fun of me, go for it. I make fun of myself all the time. I just hit my head on the hood. Anyway, what was I saying? Engine is seized. Not quite sure exactly how. Or I'm not positive that it's seized yet. It might be something completely different. But, well, hopefully, maybe it's just the starter going out. Maybe it's just not wanting to turn. I don't know. Anyway, a couple other issues that don't look good as far as the engine overheating and seizing. I don't have a flashlight on me, but just trust me when I say that it's only about half full of coolant. Now, it could have leaked out since it was last driven, or that could have been a contributing factor to maybe it overheating and seizing. The oil, again, it could have leaked out. It's like, there's the hash marks, and there's the oil way down there, and that oil is pretty dark, if it would focus on it anyways. Anyway, so see, hash marks, just the tip has oil. I was also hoping that I could swap this snorkel piece out onto mine, but the attachment up here is not a circle, it's an oval on this one. So I don't know. It looks to be the same diameter, so I could cut it and splice it with mine, because I think up here is about the same. But I could use that on mine. What else? If the wiper blades are the setup where when you pull it, it unlocks it instead of it having just that pin that's not connected, it unlocks it, then I can do that. Let's see. The windows. Windows are off track. That's a big gap right there. Anyway, let's see. Interior lights do not work. Running lights. Let's turn the key back on. Running lights. Has no running lights in the front. And it's out on this side. Out on that side. Oh, but I want to point out, this is a fancy truck. It has the wine lover's tow package installed. Anyway, this window, yeah, this window, bye-bye. Yeah, so, I mean, at least this went in one piece, so if mine ever break, I could swap that over. Lights, let's get back to the lights. Okay, so no running lights. Do the headlights even work? Headlights. Lee. So that one's working. This one, it's dimly lit up in there. I think the battery hit it. Can I do this with one hand? I don't know. Is it lit up? Anyway. Yeah, it lit up a little bit. But anyway. Oh, and these are also they automatically adjust when you hit a pothole. They automatically readjust down the road, so you can see where you're going easier. I think it's only on them fancier foreign cars, but somebody took a domestic one and put those on it. Still has all the AC components. The brake fluid is low. Yeah, I hired a tow truck company to deliver it, and when the man got here, he had me climb in and hold down the brake so that he could then unhook the winch and we could just let it roll down. And I got in, put my foot on the brake. He let off the winch a little bit, but then when he put his weight on the bed of the tow truck, it shifted slightly and the truck started rolling. He said, "Keep your foot on it," and I told him I did. I didn't move it. So the brakes, I'm hoping, are just low on fluid, not that there's something else wrong. Let's see. I can turn the lights off. Turn signal. Okay, this side's flashing. This side is not. Duh. I hit the left turn signal. Of course the right one would. Hello? Of course the right one wouldn't be flashing if the left turn signal's on. Okay, so turn signals work. Shreveport. Let's see. Emergencies should work. Wait. Okay, only the right one's blinking on there. Is the... Okay, so emergency. Okay, now the left one is. And we've got blinker there. something good. Okay. Again, we have none on the front. Okay. The center cap is upside down. I think that's supposed to be the way the steering wheel goes. The Chevrolet is upside down. Horn work? Nope. Might be just a fuse. I'll get to that later. Anyway, so yeah, eventually I want to just try to swap a bunch of stuff over to my truck. The manual transmission, see about the engine, swapping it over. The ideal, here's the plan. The ideal is to get this engine running so I can get this driving, so I can check out the manual transmission and make sure that it's working before I go through the bother of swapping it into mine, only to find out that then it's not really working correctly, and then I've wasted my time taking that one out, swapping this one in. So I want to make sure it's working first. Clutch fluid. Again, I'm not too familiar with clutches, but I have a feeling like it shouldn't be empty. But we'll get to that later. But I'll have to transfer that over, clutch reservoir and everything to the other truck. Anyway, so let me go grab a bore scope and my sockets for removing spark plugs, and we'll get them out and take a look. So I was taking the air cleaner housing off. One thing I noticed was mine, when I bought it last year, it was missing this clip, this metal clip here that holds the manifold air pressure sensor onto the air housing, so I can transfer that over at least, and possibly the sensor itself. It looks like it's the same setup. Some other usable parts would be, maybe some of these hoses. If I can't get this engine running, I can use some of these hoses. But something else I want to point out, the crankcase ventilation appears to be a garden hose, and it had an adapter piece on the on this side. Is that side supposed to go to the air filter housing or go to the throttle body? I don't know. 2 fuel injectors. Don't know if they work, but throttle plates move. Return spring is a little, I think that's a little loose. Got lots of more spider webs in here. Anyway, let's see, what else? Oh, and since I broke the sprayer on mine when I was removing this cowl piece to paint it, if I can get this one off and get that out without breaking it, I can just swap that over and reconnect it to the existing window washer pump line, and then I won't have to buy one. I can just use this one. I'm not quite sure how this one's supposed to work. Might be wireless, might be just a Bluetooth, maybe a Bluetooth washer fluid, I don't know. Anyway, one thing I'm jealous of, and I know V6s are like this, but ignition coil and distributor cap are just right there on top. And if you remember from my video on it, when I swapped it into mine, because it's a inline 4, ignition coil was down the side of the engine and the distributor cap was underneath the throttle body, and it was really difficult to reach. But anyway, I'm just rambling on at this point. Anyway, so let me get the let me go grab, actually, I'll go ahead and tell you, I'm probably gonna run out of time right now to do anything else. I'm gonna have to get to work soon. So when I get home from work, I'll finish doing what I was saying. What I'll also do, what I need to do, is get my air compressor and blow out any crud that's around the spark plugs. Blow all that stuff out first before I try taking the spark plugs out, just so that I don't drop anything else into the cylinders. Anyway, so I'll come back later on tonight and pick up where I'm leaving off now. Alright, I'm looking at the first cylinder on the left side of the engine when facing the truck. You can see that it's got a chip missing on the side there. And but the rest of it looks pretty round. So I'll bring it back in a second on the next cylinder. Second one has a chip in it too on the side, about the same size, or maybe slightly smaller. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, this piston is pretty close to the top, so it's kind of hard for me to angle it to see the edges, but here's the view of the piston head itself. Alright, first piston on the right side when facing the engine, and it's there. Let's see if I can do this while recording. Alright, next one back. There we go. So this one's the middle one on the passenger side, no, driver's side. Alright, here's the last one. It's looking okay so far. Anyway. Alright, here we are the next day. So the piston heads, I'm not familiar with vehicles, I'm more familiar with lawnmowers, and lawnmowers usually get a lot of carbon buildup because it runs too rich. Piston heads did not look like they had a lot of carbon buildup, but I don't know if that was burn marks, scorch marks from maybe it running too hot, too lean, too much air. The spark plugs, again, I'm used to seeing them, like, with carbon buildup, and I usually just take a wire wheel, clean them off. These two and these two all look about the same. This one looks like maybe it got burnt, ran too hot. Maybe. And then this one, maybe, I don't know. I mean, they don't look too bad. But anyway, I didn't get any oil in it last night. But what we're going to do, I'm going to spray some of this in each cylinder first, and then I'm going to put enough automatic transmission fluid in it to cover the cylinder head for each cylinder, or each piston head for each cylinder. And then it'll sit there today while I'm at work, And then tonight when I get home, I can put a breaker bar and a socket on the crankshaft and see if I can get it to move at all. A good homemade penetrating oil is 1 part ATF to 1 part acetone, but unfortunately I don't have any acetone right now. So I'm just going to use this old bottle of automatic transmission fluid that I have. So we'll get started and get spiders in my hair in the process. Let's see. Tuck that back out of the way. I'm gonna need a flashlight to be able to see. Yeah, unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to use a flashlight, so I'm gonna have to use both hands. But I'll bring you back when I'm done. Alright, I've got a long spritz of this in each cylinder and about 10 pumps of the ATF in each one. And just for the fun of it, since I don't have the spark plugs in it, there won't be any compression that it'll be working against. So let's see if it'll do anything. Clutch. Nope. Okay. Here we are tonight. I've taken the belt off, and all of the other pulleys spin freely, so that's not where it's binding up on the off chance that maybe it was, and that's why the crankshaft wasn't turning anyways. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to get this upper part of the fan shroud off, disconnect some of these the coolant lines. Again, the coolant is only like half full, so if I disconnect it up here, it's not going to matter. And then I'm going to try to get the fan off just to make it easier to get to the crankshaft, to try to get a socket on it to try and turn it. So I'll start working on that, and then I'll bring it back in a minute. Alright, I've gotten a good bit removed, including the radiator. When I took out the upper hose for the radiator, I noticed the this inside the tube. I think that's been dry for a while. Let's see also, what else? I already told you that the rest of these spin freely, especially that one. I've already put a socket on the crankshaft, and I think all I'm doing is turning the nut that I've put the wrench on. I've already tried going back inside, turning the key, still nothing. I'm just gonna let it sit for a little bit longer with that oil in the cylinders, see what happens. So today I was showing one of my friends the pictures of the bore scope that I took last night, and he mentioned that I should double check this cylinder because it looked like it had a hole in the piston. And I think that's what he was talking about. It looks like there's just something on top of the piston that is peeling up. It's carbon deposits, I don't know. But you can see the ATF that I squirted in there this morning is still holding there. So I would assume if it was a hole, it would have drained out. But since it's still there, I'm guessing that there's not a hole in this piston, which is good because that means maybe I can reuse it if I do completely end up tearing this engine apart and rebuilding it. Maybe I can just clean each of the pistons off and reuse them instead of having to buy a replacement. While I'm here, I think I'll go ahead and check all of the others and see if there's still any oil in them. Okay, so this one is the front one on the driver's side. I don't know what these are numbered. Maybe this is cylinder 1, but anyway, oil is still in that one. Alright, the back one on the driver's side, cylinder 5 maybe, I don't know, but anyway, oil's still in there. Now let me go to the other side. And number 6, or the rear one on the passenger side, it's like that. Oil still in it. Alright, number 4, oil still in it. And cylinder 2, I think. Oil still present. Alright. Probably should put some more oil in there just to be able to cover the pistons. Anyway, alright. That's the air intake. That's the oil cap. Here's where the water line, water hose, and all the crud that was on it. Alright, it's the next day, and I got to thinking last night before bed, since the clutch reservoir is empty, what I should probably try to do is put some brake fluid in it and bleed it and see if maybe, since if there's no clutch fluid in it, brake fluid in it, it's not pulling the clutch away from the engine, and maybe that's what's keeping the engine from turning. Or maybe, I don't know if the starter is supposed to be able to, maybe the starter isn't strong enough to be able to turn the flywheel with the clutch still pressing on the engine. So I'm gonna put some brake fluid in the clutch reservoir, bleed it, and then and see if that makes a difference. If the engine is still seized even when I know the clutch is disengaging, then I know it's the engine. But if it turns over, then this was it's a very simple and really easy fix to this. I'm hoping that's what it is. I mean, there's still issues with the engine as far as it was low on coolant, low on oil, and low on clutch fluid. So but first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the fuse that goes to the fuel pump, so that every time I try to start it, it's not going to actually try spraying gas into the engine to actually start up. So I'm going to have to go grab the manual and see which fuse runs the fuel pump. Alright, the fuel pump should be controlled by the electronic control module B, and that's this one. In my truck it's a 10 amp, this is a 15. Anyway, alright, so now with that out, I'll try turning the key. And I didn't hear the fuel pump. Alright, so that got it. And we'll just leave that right there. I'm trying to look at the bracket for the clutch pedal, because eventually I'll have to move it over to my truck. So I just want to kind of get an idea of how I'm gonna have to set it up. Anyway, alright, so now let me go to filling the clutch reservoir with fluid and then bleeding it. Okay, so I had to look up slave cylinders online and try to find one that had a good picture of what it looked like from all angles. And I noticed that on the side opposite or next to where the line actually attaches is a little bump that has a hex screw in it, and a little hole next to it, so that I assumed was the bleeder. Came out here, tried it, it worked. So I have my helper holding the clutch pedal. And now I'll show you. So it was a 4mm hex. So I have an Allen wrench here. So I just need to open it slightly and it'll shoot out. And close it. I've already gotten the first 2 or 3 times I did that, air came out, as well as a little bit of fluid, but now it's mainly fluid. Then I'm just coming back up here and pumping up the pedal again. I don't know exactly. It doesn't feel too much different yet. I don't know if I have to do this a lot of times, but right now I've done it probably about 5 times, so I'm gonna keep doing this and see if if the pedal, like it was going to about there and then going the rest of the way really easily. Now it's going, it has about the same amount of resistance the whole way. So I'm gonna keep working on this. So far it hasn't made a difference as far as trying to get the engine to turn over. I'm starting to think maybe this isn't the problem and that it is the engine itself, but I'll keep working on this a little bit longer and see if this actually does anything. Maybe I just need to do it like 5 or 10 more times, and maybe it'll get even harder to push, and then it'll actually start engaging the clutch and pulling it away from the flywheel. Anyway, I'll bring you back when I have an update. Alright, I've blooded a few more times. Turning the key still won't turn it over. But I do have my helper holding the pedal down. And I'm just going to see if the crankshaft will turn at all. With it being held down. And the answer is no. Alright. I'm going to I'm gonna put up my breaker bar and a socket back on that nut on the pulley and see if I can try moving it again. Well, my friends, to answer the question as to will it run, short answer is no. At least not yet. I still cannot get the crankshaft to turn. All it's doing now is just turning the nut, the bolt that's holding the crankshaft on. It's not actually turning the crankshaft. I've just been loosening and tightening that. So, I am going to call it here. I'm going to put the spark plugs back in where they belong so that water won't get in the cylinders and make anything worse. But I'm going to call it for now instead of keep running with it, because I could, I've got other stuff that I want to do on the actual, pickup. But at least, I'm planning on, I was planning on tearing this engine down anyway and rebuilding it, because I've never done that before, and I can do it with this engine with little to no consequence, because it's not running now, and if I mess something up, it's no loss. The only reason, or the main reason I bought this truck was for the manual transmission and for some other parts here and there to swap over. But I can, I'll just, it gives me something else to do, and if I can get it, torn down and rebuilt and replace whatever's wrong with it, and have it, redone or whatever, as far as the cylinders rehoned, or the crankshaft or camshaft, replaced, or resurfaced, something, then, eventually, if I can get it running, then, I can possibly try to do some performance upgrades to it, since I'll have it apart already. Then I can swap it into my other truck. But I don't really want to try to do the transmission swap or engine swap until I can get my garage cleaned out, because it'd be easier to do it on a flat level surface instead of dirt and gravel. It'd be safer to do it on concrete also, because with jack stands and when I use my floor lift, in the dirt, it just digs down into the dirt instead of rolling underneath like it's supposed to, because as the arm goes up, it needs to kind of roll forward with it so that it stays underneath the vehicle. And the problem that I've been having, and I've been very careful about, is on the gravel and on the dirt here, well, the dirt especially, the front wheels will sink down into the dirt, and so it won't roll. And then on the gravel, it won't roll at all, and it'll just kind of start tipping. And so, what I've been doing to compensate for that is lift it up a little bit, and then put jack stands underneath it, lower the lift, reposition it, and then lift it up some more, just so that it's not, picking itself up in the back or digging down into the ground and, being unsafe. Anyway, so it will be safer once I can actually, get this and my other truck pulled into my garage and work on it in there. So I'm going to save that until then. So long story short, yeah, thank you for joining me. Thank you for keeping me company while I've been working on this. Thank you for giving me somebody to talk to. I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. If you want to, please like this video. Please leave a comment down below if you've got any suggestions or tips or anything. I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch me. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I want all of you to have a good night, and I'll see you in the next one.